What do we think is going to happen? Two much better minds. Criminal trial attorney Sara Azari, civil rights attorney Areva Martin. All right, Sara, I start with you. Areva, great to have you as well. I don't have a clue. What do you think and why, Sara?
What do I think is that the prosecution couldn't get him with the serious charges at trial, so they're making up for it here. And I think, to me, it's very obvious, Chris, they are victimizing people who are not victims. They, much like initially thought that his ex-girlfriend Gina should be a victim and she didn't show up to testify, and she apparently now in a letter is saying, I was never a victim. I didn't consider myself a victim. I was in a consensual relationship and this was our intimacy. They are also, Chris, turning those male escorts into victims. All along, we've had Cassie and Jane. Now, suddenly, they're adding 8 more victims of the male escorts. Why? Because when you have 10 or more victims to a crime, you now get grouping, and that's a way to enhance the sentence. It is dirty, it is gamesmanship, and I don't think he should do a day more than what he's done. But I think if he gets 4 or 5 years, that's probably supported and fair.
Wow. Areva, I keep hearing in people's comments about this, but the tape, but the tape, but the tape. You know, what people saw him do to Cassie seems to be the end of the analysis. Now, a judge is a lot more sophisticated, though, right? So how do you think it breaks and why?
Well, I think, Chris, you don't have to be a lawyer to determine what this judge is going to do. You just have to be an observer of people and an observer of the facts in this case. The judge has pretty much signaled what he's going to do. Diddy was in court recently asking for an acquittal, asking for a new trial, asking to be released on bail, which he's been asking since the conviction. And the answer coming back from this judge over and over again is no, no, and still no. The judge continues to make reference to the violence that he heard, the evidence that was presented during this trial, and the judge has made it clear that he's going to pay a price for the violence that he perpetrated against the victims in this case. I don't know what trial Sara was watching when she said there are no victims. There are plenty of victims. And I think we should expect this judge
she said they added to the victims. She didn't say there are no victims. She said they added to the victims to enhance.
Victims. There are plenty. Thank you for that correction. Let me be clear. There are plenty of victims in this case, and we heard from those victims. And I think the judge is going to do what he's continued to do in this case, which is hold him accountable for his acts.
So here's the thing. They are scouting for victims. There were 2 victims. There was Jane and there was Cassie, not anybody else. And at this, to Areva's point, this brings me to the very important point, which is the most contested thing in this sentencing hearing, is the idea of whether relevant conduct includes the acquitted conduct. So relevant conduct has to be considered by a judge in arriving at a fair sentence. But there was a recent change in the law, Chris, where they said that under the sentencing guidelines, if you're acquitted of an offense, then perhaps that conduct is not relevant. And that's exactly what the defense is saying. They're saying he was acquitted of sex trafficking. Therefore, force, fraud, or coercion are not things that should be considered in sentencing him on prostitution. That is the key fight tomorrow, is whether acquitted conduct is relevant conduct. If it is, he's screwed. I mean, Areva's
you're right, and I agree with you.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
but Areva's going to say it's not enough time. Areva's going to say that's not even enough time.
Well, let's see. Let us say it. Areva, you get the last word.
I'm going to agree with you that the acquitted conduct, according to the change in the law, according to a Supreme Court case, shouldn't be considered by the judge. But when that conduct overlaps, it is absolutely appropriate for the judge to consider overlapping conduct. And I think there's enough overlapping conduct to give this judge an opportunity to go to the higher end of the sentencing guidelines. In this case, we already know federal probation has come in with a 5 to 7 year recommendation. My guess, Chris, is that the judge is going to either follow those recommendations by federal probation or even go above that 7 years. And we could see 11 years. Look, Cassie said he tortured her for 11 years. We know the prosecution has asked for 11 years. So that might be the magical number tomorrow.
Well, you have relevant conduct, and you also have aggravating factors. That video and the violence is all aggravating factors as well. So I think if he gets anything less than 4, it's an absolute gift. But I'm guessing 4 to 5.
I appreciate it. It's nice to have actual practitioners to take us inside the game. Areva Martin, thank you very much. Sara Azari, as always, I appreciate you both. Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.